need, not a want. You know what I mean?
Well, that's how the show is going to start too, because we're live now. So
that's good. That's
we're
good.
throwing up the mentions there right away, and we're doing the show a little bit different today. So usually we start with what is most prominent for the teams, whether it be the Badgers when they were in the NIT, like we started with the Badgers stuff, and then moved into Bucks, and then whatever else was going on. Right now, the Bucks are the more prominent team because they are in the playoffs and the Brewers are in the first month of the season. But because Jake and I want to have some, I think, important and some vulnerable discussions when it comes to the Bucks and not only our perceptions of them, but also how we as fans are carrying ourselves when it relates to a team that we love struggling. And how we can relate it to ourselves as people, because I truly feel that it's very important as a sports fan. And we've really taken an approach of relating our fandom to being people. So Jake and I are going to end with the Bucks today because we think we have some pretty important conversations to have. So with that, if you missed it already, we did talk about Aaron Rodgers on Monday. We did a pop-up live special thing after the trade was announced. It is official. So the Packers will have the 13th pick tomorrow. It is official now. Rodgers was introduced on the Jets today. But if you missed that episode, you can go back and find it in our videos on either Facebook or YouTube. It's probably a little bit easier to find on YouTube. But we did that, so we're not doing any Aaron Rodgers related discussion today. We're going to start with the Brewers. I did talk a little bit about the Brewers-Mariners finale last Wednesday. The Brewers put together a 5-run 7th inning. Peter Strzelecki got into a little bit of trouble in the bottom of the 9th. But Bush got in for the 3rd straight game and got 2 pop-ups to save the game. Eric Lauer was fantastic. 7 2/3 innings, 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts, only 1 walk. Joey Wiemer was 2 for 4. Bryce Terang was 1 for 4 with 2 RBI. Rowdy Tellez had a pinch hit single. He was 1 for 1 with 2 RBI. And 3 through 8 in the order all had hits, and they did it with runners in scoring position and with 2 outs. So it was a great job by the middle/back half of the end of the order to get that one done. So for me, I mean, is there anything else you wanted to throw out about that game last Wednesday while you were recovering a little bit from some sickness? Welcome back, by the way.
Thank you. Last week was rough, man. Holy crap. No, I don't really have much to add. I just love that we have opportunities to see the Brewers against all the teams in Major League Baseball. We've talked about this before, but I think it's just awesome, and it definitely needed to happen.
We got more to talk about it with it, so.
Yeah. You put out a cool stat about the Brewers completing their first sweep in Seattle since 1988, right?
89, you were close.
89. I knew it was close to the year my sister was born. So that was pretty cool. Other than that, no, ready to talk some Brewers versus Red Sox.
Yeah. That Mariners series was actually the second sweep the Brewers already have in this season. They only had 4 sweeps all of 2022. What's up, Craig? Welcome back. Yelich seems to be hitting better. He's getting there. He's still hitting the ball hard. He just needs to get his launch angle up a little bit, and then who knows where we're going from there. But he is still getting on base, which is good. Hopefully he can continue to build on it.
Yes.
But let's get to this Red Sox series. What stood out to you from Game 1 of the Red Sox series?
Well, excuse me. Still have a little bit of a cough. Want to talk about Freddie Peralta got roughed up a little bit, gave up 4 earned runs over 5 1/3. It is what it is. It's not a horrible start. Hobie Milner is still an absolute stud. And
2 of those runs were inherited runs that Hobie Milner allowed to score, which normally he's almost completely locked down, so that's a little uncharacteristic, but 2 of those runs did get charged to Freddie Peralta.
Yeah. And then Bryce, whatever. Wilson is becoming one of my favorite players in the bullpen. He's becoming very reliable. He pitches a lot of innings, and he doesn't allow a ton of hits, even though he gave up like 2 or 3 this week. But on the season, I believe he only has 11 total. So 11 hits, and he's faced 57 batters. I saw earlier today. So 11 hits and 57 at bats is a good percentage. That's under 200. So you have a guy like that can come in and shut some stuff down over a couple inning span. That's big time. Yelly had an RBI. Tellez with a home run, and Terang with an RBI. The Brewers ended up losing this game, but it's nice to see Tellez with the power. That he didn't lose that. I'll tell you that. I do like that they have to wipe down the cheese after he wears it because it gets all
Willie
sweaty.
always wipes his head off.
So
just assume the big guy's going to be sweaty.
Yeah, I think that's hilarious. But it kind of sucked that the Brewers ended up losing this series, especially the way the game went on Sunday. I'm getting ahead of myself, but this one was just one loss, I guess.
Yeah, and you mentioned a couple of the guys that are worth bringing up. Bryce Wilson being one of them. It was hard for me to keep him out of my power pair for the second straight week. He was really close to being in there again, but I went with a different guy, which we'll get there. But bottom of the third inning, it was cool to see Owen Miller and Christian Yelich manufacture a run. There's just absolute crying for small ball last year from the fan base. And for Owen Miller to rip a single, steal second base, and then Christian Yelich drive him in with an RBI single. It's good to see that small ball is actually working for the Brewers, in addition to the power still being there with Rowdy Tellez, like you said. So bottom of the fourth inning, after Rowdy Tellez hit his home run, Wilson Contreras hit a double, and then Bryce Terang drove him in. It really, this is correlating so strongly, but walks to strikeouts is equaling wins. That's really what it's coming down to. And this game, the Brewers had 13 strikeouts and only drew 2 walks. That's a tough ratio to overcome. Yeah. Greg asked, who are your favorite players this year besides the relief pitcher that we were talking about, which is Bryce Wilson and Rowdy Tellez? I really like. It fucking sucks that he's going to be out until later in the year, but I really like Garrett Mitchell.
Me too, bro. He's a stud.
Bryce Terang is a stud too. Like, his defense is so good. I really, really hope that the Brewers can find a way to bring Brian Anderson back. He's been fantastic. Like, arguably one of the best signings of the offseason. He's been fantastic. And I'm going to talk about him a little bit more later, so spoiler alert. So game 2, what stood out to you from game 2?
Well, the Brewers ended up stealing this one. Another guy who was a great signing, Wade Miley, underrated. Dude. I'll say that. Nobody's going to talk about him all year long, right? Only the Brewers fans, the people that actually pay attention to the team, are going to be talking about him. But towards the end of the season, when the Brewers are competing for playoffs, whether it be division or wild card, Wade Miley is going to be a guy that national media starts to bring up, like, wow, Wade Miley's been a constant for this team. I really feel that way. Yeah. 5 innings pitched, only 2 earned runs. You can't ask for anything else, right? That's a perfect outing 32? For a guy like right for Wade Miley. Piamps was good. Strzelecki, that's your boy. Every time I see him come in the game, I'm like, Tyler's watching. Hobie Milner. And obviously, Devin Williams picked up the save in this one. Yelly with another RBI, back-to-back games on the RBI, and a stolen base. He's up to 5 stolen bases already. He's on track for a very, very good season. If he can get that average up, he could have a very strong season. Anderson, had an RBI, and Tellez had 2 RBIs, both of them 2-out RBIs, I want to point out, because that's very important.
Yeah, good call.
Especially in this game, the 2-out RBIs ended up pushing us ahead, and we won this game by 1 run. So that's what I saw, the Brewers stealing a win.
Yeah, definitely. This one, Blake Perkins made his first career start in Major League Baseball, so it was cool for Brewer Blake Perkins to make his first career start. He did pinch run in the game before that. Wade Miley got into a little bit of trouble in the first inning. Willie Adames made a really tough play in shallow center field, and then a walk and a long single off the wall. Wade Miley avoided giving up any runs in that situation. Greg said, no one will talk about him except Brewers fans. We don't need no recognition, just win. And I'm totally on board with that. Comes to the end of the season, and Wade Miley gave 30 starts and had a 2.85 ERA. You're going to be super excited about it.
Oh, hell yeah.
He would have been a great pick for an underrated performer of the season.
Yeah.
Like, we made some good picks, but
dude, he was so underrated. He was underrated in the underrated section.
Yeah. Yeah, because Peter Strzelecki, you're not going to be able to underrate him because he's been fantastic.
No, he's phenomenal.
Top of the second, Wade Miley gets a pickoff. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying, and 99.9% of the comments on the TikTok of the Brewers when Wade Miley made that pickoff attempt and got the guy out. What's up, Dan? All of them were saying it's a balk. It's a balk. He motioned towards home. He didn't bring his right foot behind the pitching rubber. So that's what made it not a balk. Because he did, like, when he puts his foot down, it's towards the plate, but he didn't necessarily motion towards the plate. But because that right foot didn't cross the rubber, that's why it's not a balk. So that was the explanation that I saw, and that's the only thing that really made sense to me. Josh asked, what time does the draft start tomorrow? 7 o'clock. So we will be live for that, which we will bring up again.
Oh yeah,
Greg said he was underrated. He was penciled in the back of the page.
I got my station set up for tomorrow night, man. It's gonna be a much more relaxed view tomorrow night.
Yes, very relaxed, like feet up on the desk type of relaxed.
Yes.
Just looking through to see if there's anything else I really wanted to bring up. Peter Strzelecki had a single and a double. And then Hobie Milner with the tying run on second came in and struck two guys out. So Hobie Milner just doing some high leverage stuff. You brought up Wade Miley's numbers. Joel Payamps did get hurt by the home run, but he has been decent for a guy who was on the fringe of the roster coming into the season. Like I have no complaints about Joel Payamps so far.
No, me either.
And for a guy who was a throw-in in the William Contreras trade, like I will definitely take that.
Yeah.
Peter Strzelecki, Hobie Milner, Devin Williams, like you mentioned, lockdown work out of the bullpen. The three of them combined for 3 innings pitched, only 2 hits, 3 strikeouts, no walks, no runs. That's the back end of the bullpen that, in my opinion, should be 7, 8, 9. Because as we carry into Game 3, I mean, it was basically just all 1 inning. It was basically just the 8th inning that really hurt the Brewers after they took the 4-3 lead. It was just walks and home runs that really did the Brewers in. Yeah, James is a Red Sox fan. Shocking that James popped back up when the Red Sox beat the Brewers.
You want to talk about Trae Young, maybe? Or too soon? Or...
Whatever. I'm not even going to get into it. Doesn't matter in my opinion.
No,
but
this was a good game.
This prompted the designated for assignment of Javi Guerra. Matt Bush did go to the 15-day injured list after this game. But when we're talking about back end of the bullpen, I really like Peter Strzelecki, Hobie Miller, Devin Williams as 7, 8, 9, in my opinion. James said Ice Tray is a thing. It is. He's annoying, but whatever.
Yeah, he is. I'm not a fan of him. I was just poking fun at you. Yeah. The Celtics will win that series. I mean, I won't be shocked when that happens.
The Red Sox scored their first hit on a bunt single and then scored on a sacrifice fly. So it's kind of just one of those like, okay, yeah, cool, figures. 9 of their 12 runs came in that 8th inning. So, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Top of the second inning, the Red Sox had bases loaded, only 1 out, and only scored 2 runs. So it was a good job to limit that damage that could have obviously been way worse. So Corbin Burns did only make it through the 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, did have 5 strikeouts and 3 walks. That's the thing with Corbin Burns. The outings that he's struggled have been low strikeout, high walk games. And maybe it's just a little bit of, not being quite in midseason form yet, but, just looking for Corbin Burns to keep those walks down And other than that, I'm totally fine with Corbin Burns. Two of his runs were earned. Third one was unearned. But I will say the Brewers, despite losing by 7, having the bottom of the 5th where the Brewers went Joey Weimer double, Blake Perkins bunted him over to third base. Christian Yelich had an RBI single. Jesse Winker had a single that Christian Yelich got to third base on, and then Willie Adames hit a sac fly. For the Brewers to kind of manufacture runs, I do still take that away as a positive, despite the Brewers losing this game by 7 runs.
Yeah, those are building block type moments.
That's a perfect way to put it, as a building block. So, I mean, was there anything else that stood out to you from this game?
After we stole game 2, I was like, all right, Burnt is on the mound tomorrow. We can win this series. Whatever, we'll give them one. It is what it is. And we ended up taking the lead. Didn't even get a hit to take the lead, by the way.
Yeah,
wild pitch. Weimer scores because he has the wheels, and then Bush comes in, and I'm like, all right, let's get 3 outs. We'll be good to go. Gives up the back-to-back homers. And I'm like, the wheels are a little rusty. And eventually the wheels just completely fell off.
Yeah.
We couldn't find replacement wheels. It is what it is. I mean, these games, they happen. And this is going to balloon Bush and Guerra's ERAs out of the bullpen. And people are going to be like, oh, they suck. But it's really just one outing. And these guys barely pitch. So Bush getting through a third of an inning, giving up 4 earned runs is going to absolutely kill his ERA.
Right. And I don't think we need to get to a point where we DFA Bush, which I saw people calling for, just because he's given up a lot of home runs. But, like, the fact of the matter is he's got great stuff. He's got a great curveball, and he's got an electric fastball. So maybe just moving him out of those high-pressure situations is just what he needs. We can just have him pitch in the 6th inning or in the 7th inning with a bigger lead, let him get his confidence back because he's got the stuff to do it.
I agree.
And even in the first game of that Red Sox series, he did come in and get 2 high leverage outs. So he is capable. There was just a game last week where he came in, he struck 3 guys out in 1 inning.
Right.
So he's got the capability to do everything the Brewers are asking him. Just maybe move him up a couple innings just to let him get his confidence back.
I believe in the Brewers pitching lab, so I think they will get him right. If history has proven to prove anything, it's that they know how to use guys correctly. So Bush will definitely get right. Let him be on this 15-day DL, and he'll be fine.
James said the Brewers are a potential contender. Great pitching goes far. Yeah, and I think they'll be ahead of the NL Central soon. I don't know what the hell has gotten into the Pirates, but good for them, I guess.
Yeah, what the hell, dude?
Their best player gets hurt, and then they're like, all right, yeah, we're just going to win a bunch of games.
Doesn't make any sense.
We've won most of the series except for the Diamondbacks in Boston this year.
And
yes, I believe the Diamondbacks coming into this game this series was the only series the Brewers have lost so far.
Yeah.
So the Red Sox and Tigers are the second and third series the Brewers have lost this season. And with game 1 of the Tigers and the Brewers lost this one, it was their first back-to-back losses of the season, which did end up becoming 3 in a row. But the Brewers are the last team in Major League Baseball to lose back-to-back games.
I tell you what, we're in a much better spot than the goddamn White Sox, dude. They haven't won back-to-back games this year, I don't think.
Oh.
I think I saw that stat. It's like the longest drought they've had since like the 30s or something like that. But yeah, the White Sox haven't won back-to-back games this season.
That's gross.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rough. Damn. All right. So Brewers-Tigers game 1. This was Bryce Terang's first appearance at shortstop this season. Willie Adames DH'd in this game. Bottom of the first inning, William Contreras finally gets his first home run as a Brewer.
Yes.
That's exciting to see for him.
Yes.
Top of the third, Colin Ray got into a little bit of trouble, gave up a home run. Without William Contreras and Bryce Terang teaming up to get a caught stealing at second base, that 3-run home run could have easily been a grand slam.
True.
There were tons of guys on base that inning, and the Brewers were able to get a guy out on the bases. Bottom of the third, Mike Brasso got one back, just an absolute no-doubt rocket home run. Colin Ray did get a clutch 1-2-3 fourth inning. And then the bottom of the fourth was kind of the rough inning for the Brewers. They went walk, single, strikeout, single, had the bases loaded with one out, and then a fly out and a strikeout. That's tough. That's essentially what did this game for me. Top of the fifth, the Tigers got an insurance run, and the Brewers only had 2 more base runners for the rest of the game. So William Contreras in this one, 2 for 4 with a home run. Mike Brasso hit a home run. Colin Ray, 5 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 4 walks.
Yep.
I will say the bullpen did a very good job in this game. 4 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, no runs between Bryce Wilson, Alex Claudio, and Jake Cousins.
Jake Cousins, baby.
I know. I'm excited for him to be back. I'm excited for him and his slider to be back in Milwaukee.
Yes.
But definitely a good job by the bullpen. I saw people complaining about the bullpen this week, and it's like outside of the Red Sox finale, like the bullpen actually wasn't bad. Like a couple isolated runs here and there, which you're not going to avoid. Nobody's bullpen is going to have a 0.0 ERA. I mean, it's really just the one game you're looking at. So Greg said the Pirates will be plucky this year. They seem to be playing with confidence, a chip on their shoulder. But as always, the season is long with 4 Gs. It is a long season, and I get that the Pirates are a division rival, but like I like some of their players. Like it sucks that O'Neal Cruz was hurt because he's so fun to watch.
He is.
People are excited because Shohei Ohtani is coming to Wisconsin this weekend.
True.
Yeah, he's going to be fun to watch. Doesn't mean I hope the Angels win any games.
Right.
Isaac doesn't need to be any sadder than he already is with the Clippers getting eliminated.
For real.
Isaac, if you're watching, I'm probably not ever going to stop bringing up the Clippers being your favorite team.
Dude, did you see Simon say that yesterday?
Yeah, yes.
I was going to say, never let that die. We need to never let that die.
What stood out to you from the first game of the Tigers series?
You pretty much covered everything, really. And I was just looking over my notes. Outside of that one bad game, the Brewers bullpen gave up 1 earned run the first game. They gave up 2 earned runs the second game versus the Red Sox. 0 in the first game, 0 in the second game, and they didn't give up any runs today. So really 3 runs outside of that one bad game. So
and none in the Tigers series.
And none in the Tiger series.
Interesting.
So think about that. That's the perspective that people aren't getting because they're like, oh, our bullpen sucks. Like, no, they don't.
Yeah, you're really letting one bad game skew the entire sample.
It just makes me so much more excited for the conversation we're about to have because it really just needs to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
We're going to get there. So the first game, Ray, like you said, he struggled a little bit. I was super excited to see Contreras finally get a home run. I was like, dude, This guy's way too good. He has too much power. His swing is so beautiful. He has great balance.
Dude, he's owning the right side of the field.
Yes, he is. He's just too good of a hitter to stay down for too long. So him getting a homer, first one, Brousseau, his homer was a no-doubter. Like you said, that was his 3rd of the year. So really, you covered everything. The thing that I was most excited for was Jake Cousins being back. I'm not going to lie to you. It sucks that we lost, but outside of that, it is what it is.
Yeah, day by day. Same thing, Greg. The Bucks might join the Clippers soon. Hey, day by day. We're going to get there and talk about it. Bill said those are the same people that talk bad about Yelich after he strikes out. Yes, and then they're the same people that are just crickets when he plays well, which are just honestly the worst kind of people. I'm sorry. I'm really not sorry, but if that's the way that you're going to choose to be a fan, and I'm sure the same people would say you can't tell me how to be a fan. I'm gonna say you're a bad fan if you only talk bad about players you think are not deserving of whatever. If you only talk bad about them and never give them credit, I'm sorry, you're a bad fan. I'm sorry. I'm really not sorry, but I'll say that I'm sorry because it's a tough thing for somebody to hear potentially.
Yeah, I don't mean to bring this up too early, but I could already sense the toxicity in the Packers fan base with Jordan Love. I can already freaking feel it, dude. And it just makes my blood boil. It's like, there's going to be such like radical reactions on both sides, I think.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's going to be insane. It's going to be intense. And I think more people need to tune into us, not because I want the views, because I do, but because we're gonna keep your head on straight, and
Right.
we're gonna temper those expectations.
And it's the roller coaster. It's the roller
Yeah,
coaster. We want a
right.
smooth ride, win or lose, great or bad. Like, we want a smooth ride either way.
I agreed.
Okay.
Life already sucks, man. We don't need to make sports suck. Come on.
Game 2 of the Tigers series. What stood out to you from that one?
Well, now that I looked up the numbers, the bullpen, also Eric Lauer, just every once in a
Yeah.
while, man, he has these outings, and obviously this one comes pretty close to the last one that he had that I'm going to talk about. But yeah, the 4 earned runs in 3 innings, 8 hits, 2 walks, 4 Ks. Every once in a while, his stuff has no movement, and it stays really really straight.
Yeah.
And when his stuff has no movement, he doesn't have overpowering stuff. So it's
Right.
basically like fucking batting practice.
Yeah.
Excuse my French. We're trying to watch our language now on this television cast here. So when his stuff stays straight, it's pretty easy for a professional hitter to be like rake time.
Yeah.
But he still has the ability. I'm not saying he's a bad pitcher. I'm just saying that every
No.
once in a while he has these moments, and that's because and that's what you get out of a 4 or 5 starter, right?
Right.
He is like the actual definition of a 4 or 5 starter. We have 3 great guys right in front of him, and Wade Miley, I'm going to bring him
Yeah.
up again. He's been fantastic too.
Yeah.
So we can kind of hide these bad spot starts from Lauer every once in a while.
Right.
Shout out to Yelly, another RBI. I am totally for being like the anti to all the Yelly haters. So every time he has a good game or he hits for an RBI, I'm there. Tellez with another homer, so he gets to put on the sweaty cheese again, and Miller gets an RBI. So those are the things that I saw. Lauer just needs to get that movement, needs to get that arm action up, or whatever he's missing in his rotation, with his pitching. He needs to figure that out and be more consistent with it. But other than that, dude, I got no complaints. It is what it is.
Yeah, and to your point, like bringing up the lack of movement on pitches is a perfect thing to bring up, and I'm glad you did. Detroit really just jumped on him early, and he does, like you said, he is prone to those outings once in a while. He's a little bit prone to giving up some home runs in some games. I think I saw 25 home runs in his last 23 starts, something like that.
Ugh.
Yeah, which is rough, but again, this is one of those things where like he's probably had some games where he's given up like 4 and then other
Yeah.
games where he's given up none.
Yeah.
So Detroit jumped on him early. They had 2 base runners in the top of the first, didn't get any runs, but top of the second inning, they had the 3-run home run, and then after that went double, single, single, and we're up 4-0 in the top of the second inning. So Tigers really jumped out to this one early. And Greg said it's been a long time for Yelich's recovery. It's been painful to watch because he was so automatic. It was fabulous. He said, I felt bad for him, yet he hasn't quit, so lots of respect. And he knows the expectation. He knows what the perception of him is. He would basically, if he didn't get hurt in the September of 2019, he would have been back-to-back MVP. And Bellinger won that one, but nobody talks about how badly he fell off, and he didn't even fracture his kneecap or hurt his back.
No, he just started to suck.
Yeah. Josh said, I wish I could go watch this game to see Shohei.
You
Yeah,
have a
it is what it
brand
is.
new baby to take care of. Don't you dare think about leaving this house.
I used to watch games on my phone while I was rocking kids to sleep.
Tish needs to get on board. He's a brand
That's
new
the way to
dad.
do it. Babies also in your lap, they do make great Xbox controller holders. I know this from experience as well. Bill Bellinger is the enemy. That's who he is.
Yes.
He plays for the bad guys. You mentioned Christian Yelich's RBI in the bottom of the third, bottom of the fourth. Owen Miller did drive in a run on a ground out, made the game 4-2. Rowdy Tellez in the bottom of the sixth. Rowdy Tellez led off with a home run, 4-3, and then only one base runner after that. And it was a Luke Voigt double in the, I want to say it was the 8th inning. It was a Luke Voigt double, and then 3 strikeouts after that. So he got stranded at second base. Josh said my girlfriend suggested going. Well, then you got a free pass.
Yeah, lucky you.
The Brewers this game, 10 strikeouts, only 3 walks. That's not the side of the ratio you want to be on. And like I said, the walk to strikeout ratio is pretty correlated with wins. All 4 runs were scored against Eric Lauer. He pitched 3 innings, gave up 8 hits, 4 strikeouts, and 2 walks. Elvis Peguero made his Brewers debut. He pitched 3 innings, only gave up 2 hits, had 2 strikeouts, and 0 runs. So great job by Elvis Peguero. Joel Payamps had a bounce back game after giving up a run in his previous appearance. He pitched 2 innings, also only gave up 2 hits, 2 strikeouts, no runs. And then Peter Strzelecki shut down the 9th inning, and the Brewers just couldn't get 1 run across to tie the game or potentially win the game. So going to game 3, Greg said, your kids love the Brewers now, right? I used to put my son in the swing to sleep and have loud opening of 2020 Saving Private Ryan, and now he loves war movies. That's funny. My kids do like going to Brewers games. Yes, they do. Josh said her work sponsors the Brewers and the Blackhawks, so we get cheap tickets. Well, hook us up, Josh.
I'm going to say 2 things. First of all, Josh, thank you. I will be abusing that power. Secondly, Greg, my daughter, she only sees me watch sports, right? So when football's on, she loves football. When basketball's on, she loves basketball. She has her own little basketball hoop with her own little basketball. So when the Bucks are on, she's carrying around her basketball. She goes, bah, 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 and then she dunks it and she does the flex like Dad. So she loves football and basketball. So I got that going for me.
Yeah, the opening loud 20 minutes. That's funny, Greg. All right, let's go to game 3. Actually, sorry. One more thing for game 2 because this streak did end in game 3. But in game 2, Willy Adames did extend his on-base streak to 14 games. That tied his career high. It sucks that streak ended today.
I wish you could have left that last part out.
I know. I wish I could have saved that part for game 3 with him extending his career high. But the Brewers did get a win, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take
wins too. Coming into game 3, after game 2, Willy Adames had been on base in 23 of 24 games. So now with game 3, he's been on base in 23 out of 25 games. So Willy Adames doing great stuff. Spoiler alert, he's also going to be talked about later. But let's talk about today's game quick, and we'll wrap up our Brewers recaps. But what's the 2 from today's game?
Well, Fastball Freddie had a great bounce back performance. I'll say that.
Yes.
6 innings pitched, no earned runs. He did give up two runs. They were
I actually have right here great bounce back written in my notes. Very tiny because I had to squeeze it in there, but it's there. It says great bounce back in my notes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 4 hits. No walks. That's the most important thing. No walks for the entire Brewers pitching staff, by the way.
Right here where I have great bounce back written, underlined is 0 walks right there. Underlined because it's important.
It is. The 8 Ks.
If you could just do me a favor and get out of my notebook, I'd really appreciate it.
You got to stop showing it on camera. Wilson, again, was fantastic. Gave up 1 hit in 2/3. Also had a strikeout. Hobie Milner with his 4th hold of the year. 2/3 of an inning, 1 hit. Strzelecki with his 7th hold of the season, 2/3 of an inning. Everybody's just 2/3 of an inning apparently today.
Right.
And he also had 1 strikeout. And Devin Williams comes in, and we know what happens when Devin Williams comes in. He throws 9 pitches and gets everybody out. So that's what he does. How many tablets do you fill in a season?
Greg's talking about how extensive the notes are. I have about 4 pages per show.
4 pages per show. I'm usually at like 2.5, 3. 2.5 or 3 because my writing is
so.
Yeah, I use front and back of the page too. But my writing sometimes, all of a sudden I'll think of an idea from something I'm writing down, and I'm like, damn it, I got to fit that in, but I got to make sure that it correlates with this. So I have to like write it in like really sloppy, and it looks so stupid. So then I'm like, nope, got to rewrite this, and then so it's a fucking mess, dude. I am sorry, I forget for swearing, but I am shocked that I'm able to read anything out of my notebook.
I have it once in a while where I can't read my notes because I have stuff written in here so tiny because I'm trying to fit stuff in the margins.
So I try to like practice what I'm gonna say, and then I still mess it up like bananas and apples, and it's just like, what the heck is happening right now?
Greg said get some paper company stocks. It should be something like that. Like I like
That's a
it's
good
weird
idea.
my affinity that I have for notebooks and stationery now. And I did do all of my draft research. I did do that on a tablet this year, so I didn't just chew through 300 sheets of paper during my draft prep this season. Josh, Blackhawks games are fun to go to. I went to a Blackhawks game as a Predators fan. Wearing a bright yellow jersey in a sea of red, white, and black is fun.
I would go to a hockey game too, just because it would be a cool experience. What's up, Taylor? How you doing, buddy?
What's up, Taylor? We're just talking about today's Tigers game. Bottom of the first inning, the Brewers jumped on the Tigers early, right after the Tigers jumped on the Brewers early in game 2. So game 3, Christian Yelich is hit by a pitch. Jesse Winker, this guy deserves some credit. Jesse Winker, down 0-2, comes all the way back to draw an 8-pitch walk.
He was on the fastball too.
Yes. And then Rowdy Tellez gets an RBI double. Brian Anderson drives in 2 runs with a 2 RBI single, and the Brewers are up 3-0 already in the first inning. Mm-hmm. Top of the second inning, Freddie struck out the side, so 3 straight strikeouts by Freddie in the top of the second. Bottom of the second, Joey Wiemer hits a double. The exit velocity on Joey Wiemer's double, 108 miles an hour.
It's pretty good.
That'll play. Then Jesse Winker drew another walk. Willie Adames reached on catcher's interference, and the bases loaded with 2 outs, and Rowdy struck out, so he couldn't deliver some extra magic. But top of the third, the Tigers were threatening, a couple base runners on. Freddie got a strikeout to get out of the inning, so good job by Freddie again. Mm-hmm. Bottom of the third, Brian Anderson hits another single to the same spot as he did in the first inning that drove in 2 runs. Mm-hmm. And Victor Caratini followed it up by hitting an absolute rocket home run into right center field in the bullpen. And after that, that was pretty much it. I mean, Mike Brasso had an infield single. That was the 6th hit by the Brewers. The Brewers only had 6 hits total in game 1 and in game 2. Top of the 4th, the Tigers did get an unearned run on a guy who reached on an error, and then a double and a single got the Tigers to 5-2. Top of the 5th, Freddie got a 1-2-3 inning. He finished with 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 8 strikeouts, 2 runs, neither of them earned runs, and then no walks, like Jake said. Mm-hmm. Freddie Peralta threw 98 pitches today. He had 18 swings and misses.
That's a good percentage.
That's basically 1 in 5 pitches that Freddie Peralta was throwing was swung and missed.
He had the good stuff today.
Yes, he did. Greg said, I used to testify in court as an expert witness and always had to give both sets of lawyer copies, my legal notes, ideas, plans. One time my opposing counsel asked why my writing was so sloppy. You just tell him it'd be like that sometimes, Greg. He said, I don't write my notes for you. That's awesome. I don't write my notes for anybody else either. I have abbreviations and symbols like for my percentages for basketball. I write them like I have parentheses for 3-point shooting, straight lines for field goal shooting, and brackets for free throw shooting.
Oh wow. I created my own little tables for everything that I do.
Nice.
With hitting.
If I handed my notebook to somebody, like it might as well just be written in hieroglyphics.
It makes sense to you, man. That's all that matters.
That's where we've gotten to. So, bottom of the 8th inning, Joey Wiemer hit a solo home run, gave the Brewers an insurance run. The Brewers won 6-2. Brian Anderson was 2 for 4 with 2 RBI. Victor Caratini 2 for 4 with 2 RBI. Joey Wiemer 2 for 4, did have a double and a home run. So, give me your Brewers power pair and underrated performer. So who is your power position player?
I went with Contreras this week. I felt like he was consistent. And that's really what I look for with this is consistency. Unless the guy's really just hitting that goddamn cover off the ball, right? So
right.
Contreras was very consistent, 5 of 15. That's basically 1 for 3. So that's 333. 4 runs, 1 RBI, first homer of the year. He also had a walk, and he always brings that swagger and that great attitude. In my opinion, I feel like he's a great locker room guy. just from what I see. So yeah, that's who I picked.
I'm actually gonna be writing something up about this, but his defense has gone quietly unnoticed.
Yeah, it has, dude. We were just talking about this like 2-3 weeks ago, where I was like, dude, he's got the hands, bro. He's got hands.
He's athletic.
He's a monster, and he's a one knee guy. So
Yes.
those guys, that's got to be awkward to have a 100-mile-an-hour pitch coming at you and you're on one knee. Like, I can't imagine that anxiety.
Just they're proposing to it. I went with Brian Anderson. He was 6 for 20 on the week. That's a 300 batting average. He also drew 3 walks, had the 2 home run game, and he drove in 5 RBI this week. So I went with Brian Anderson. His addition to the Brewers, like I mentioned before, I do think, and I think a lot of people would agree, because he is among the league leaders in RBI right now, one of the signings of the offseason so far. Yeah. Greg said, imagine somebody 100 years from now being 100% puzzled by your brackets.
Yeah, right.
And the side scribbles. Yep, got them in the margins too. I'm on my 4th notebook, I think, since Jake and I started the show. So, who is your power pitcher?
I went with Bryce Wilson. Not gonna lie,
it's a good one. He was my guy last week. It was hard for me not to put him in here twice in a row.
Yeah, I know he was your guy last week. I was watching and I was like, I can't not put him in there. So he got 15 outs total this week. He had 5 innings pitched. He gave up 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 8 Ks. So 8 of his 15 outs were strikeouts. 5 of them were fly balls. 2 of them were ground outs. And I went a little advanced here and I looked up his hits at bats, because I was like, man, he's been really damn good. Before this game today, he was 10 of 55. So 10 hits and 55 at bats. That is under 200. That's a 188 batting average. Nice. And he's equally as good against righties and lefties. Lefties are 6 of 26 against him, and righties are 4 of 29 against him. So it's not like he's dominant against one and not very good against the other. He's good against both. So that is a guy that is earning his role on this team.
That's really interesting, because he came over from the Pirates as a starter, and the Brewers are using him as a long reliever, which is what I thought the role that Ethan Small was going to have, because he's a lefty. I thought maybe they would use him in that role, but using Bryce Wilson as that long reliever has actually worked out very well. And you bringing up the righty-lefty stats, I think, kind of goes to support that thought process.
Yep.
And then if you put that week of his appearances as 5 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts, that's fantastic. I don't think anybody would be upset about that.
I agree.
So yeah, definitely a good call on Bryce Wilson. I went to pick a different guy. I went with Hobie Milner. He made 4 appearances in the last week, 3 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 strikeouts, no runs. He pitches in high leverage situations, is what Hobie Milner does. True. He's the guy that Craig Counsell calls on when guys are on base and you don't want them to score.
Yep.
He did allow 2 inherited runners to score in the Red Sox series, but other than that, Hobie Milner has been fantastic. So I went with Hobie Milner. Who is your underrated performer?
All right. I have a reason for it. It's going to sound like a cop-out, but it's not. Us fans do not realize the difficulties of being a professional athlete, the stuff that they deal with day to day. So I actually went with Devin Williams. And the reasoning behind it is because he doesn't pitch for a few days. For him to just come up there after not pitching for a few days and then just absolutely dominate, it's just, for some reason, I'm just amazed by that. I'm just like, dude, this guy literally hasn't pitched in 3 days. He comes in, throws 9 pitches, gets 3 outs. What the fuck? What is this, man? This guy's a monster, dude. So I went with that just because of that wow factor of him sitting down, being cold, essentially, coming into a game situation and just dominating like he always does. I just wanted to give some love to Devin Williams.
That's good. And I think the part of the wonder is, at what point do you get rusty?
Yeah.
For a guy who's, who doesn't know if he's going to pitch that day or not. Right. Starters, at least, they're only pitching every 5 days or 6 days. but you know when your next appearance is, so you can
Yep.
mentally prepare for that.
Mm-hmm.
And they physically prepare for it as well. Like, they do bullpen sessions and icing and all the recovery and stuff. But if you pitched yesterday, you don't know. You might have to pitch again today.
Yeah.
Or you might not pitch until next Saturday.
Right, dude. That's my point. Pretty much is like it's crazy to me.
Yeah, that's no, it's an interesting thing to bring up, and I'm glad you did. I went with Willy Adames. I did already mention that part of this week was his 14 straight games on base, that tied his career high. He didn't get on base today, which ended his streak, but he has been on base in 23 out of the 25 games that he's played. And another thing that I don't think people are really talking about is how improved his plate discipline is.
Yeah.
He actually leads the Brewers with 17 walks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I went with Willy Adames as my underrated performer.
I don't think there's ever a bad choice in underrated performer category.
Underrated performer, it might be my most fun thing to pick every week.
Yeah, because it's like you don't want to go obvious, but you also don't want to be like, oh, that's a total reach. You kind of want to be like, yeah, this guy, that people don't respect this guy enough for what he brought to the team.
It's fun to pick them because, like, you can think of different reasons and justifications for picking guys, and usually you can make them make sense. Or if it's a guy who's not getting a lot of credit and you want to give him some credit, underrated performer, there he is. So Brewers have 3 home games against the Angels, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I believe. Yes, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yep. And then they are at Colorado starting Tuesday. So Tuesday and Wednesday. So essentially 5 games between now and next Wednesday. Actually, next Wednesday will be next Wednesday night. So that'll be after next Wednesday's show. So only 4 games that we'll be recapping for the Brewers last week. But 3 at home against the Angels, 1 on the road against Colorado. But what are you thinking for those 4 games?
I'm saying 4-0. I'm gonna go great. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna say 3-1. They'll lose 1 to the Angels just because the Angels are pretty good. I mean, they have a couple good players over there. I don't know if you've heard, but I expect us to right this ship. We'll win this series against the Angels. They'll win the first game against the Colorado Rockies, and we'll come into next week talking about 3 wins and 1 loss.
Yeah. So I'm also going to go 3-1. I pretty much the same reasons as you are for predicting it. Basically, Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout are on the same team. Like, those 2 guys are good enough to win.
Pretty good too. So.
Shohei will not be pitching this week. Greg said The Athletic posted an article about Weimer, Turang, and Mitchell helping the wave of their early success. And I think that's part of what bums me out so badly about Garrett Mitchell getting hurt, because like he was starting off so well.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
It sucks.
It does. But is there anything else you want to say about the Brewers?
Just a little perspective for people. The Brewers are going to lose about 60 more times this year. Just so you're aware. 60, 65-ish.
60, 70, yeah.
They're going to be in that range. So if you're not okay with losing, baseball's not your thing.
Or being able to understand the perspective of what happens when you lose. Like, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Taylor, I just saw that Frelick actually just had surgery.
Yeah, Taylor Frelick, he's probably 6 to 8 weeks out. He had surgery on his thumb, so probably not. Basically, Tyrone Taylor is going to get a shot at keeping his job is how that's going to go. Yeah. Tyrone Taylor is in Nashville making rehab appearances, as is Adrian Hauser. And Gus Varland has been cleared to make some rehab appearances as well. So Brewers bullpen might be getting a little bit of reinforcements, as well as the starting rotation and the outfield. So hopefully those guys, when they're back, can help make an impact and get the Brewers a little more back on track after kind of a rough week.
I agree.
All right, so let's jump into the Bucks. Now, Jake and I, we talked about it. We're going to do our recaps pretty quick because we want to have some pretty serious conversations about the fandom, and we want to kind of focus a little bit on how to go forward. So Jake and I, we're going to start with games 2, 3, and 4. Jake, just give me kind of the Cliff Notes version of your thoughts on game 2, and we're going to do the same things for game 3 and 4, and then we want to ask some pretty serious questions as far as adjustments go for the team, and then posing questions and thought processes to fans as well.
Okay, so you want me to run through all my Cliff Notes for all the games right now?
Just game 2. Let's do one game at a time, but let's just rock them out.
So game 2, real quick. The Milwaukee Bucks came out angry. They came out ready to play as a team. They were more prepared for game 2, knowing that Giannis was not going to be playing after being hurt. There's a page you're in. I hate. Oh, okay. I would like to know what page that is, Taylor. The Bucks came out angry. They had 35 assists. That's great. Only 11 turnovers, so that's also fantastic. The Heat still shot the ball very, very well, in my opinion, but we managed to force 17 turnovers on them. I feel like that was the difference maker in the game. Other than that, the Bucks split at home, so it's what it is.
Which one, Taylor? I need you to be more specific. There's a lot of negativity everywhere, unfortunately.
Yeah. And there's a lot of Nancy's everywhere too. Not all of them are negative, but
Pat Connaughton was a big standout of this game. Awesome to see playoff Pat popping in, just casually dropping 22 points on 8 of 12 shooting, including 6 of 10 behind the 3-point line.
True that.
And then he added in 4 rebounds and 3 assists. I mean, Pat was everywhere.
Yep.
Awesome to see him have a game like that. Absolutely awesome. Bobby Portis started in Giannis's place. It did give the Bucks a size advantage. Taylor, I'm not sure if I'm in that one. I used to be, but I think I got kicked out because the guy who runs it is a whiner, and I called him out on it. But
he's a Nancy.
Bucks scored 46 points in the second quarter.
It's a lot.
Brook Lopez, his bucket gave the Bucks a franchise high in the first half in playoffs with 79. They ended up with 81 points in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
That was worth it right there. Bucks were 12 of 21 on threes in the first half. 20 assists on 33 field goals in the first half, and only 3 turnovers. They had a 28-16 rebounding advantage in the first half. That's fantastic.
We spanked that ass.
Miami went on a 7-0 run coming out of halftime. Chris Middleton responded by getting to the rims 3 times in a row. And I get why people like to get on Chris Middleton. He's a very polarizing player. But overall, as far as the series is concerned, he's been pretty solid. Bill said he saw a post where somebody said to get rid of Connaughton because he's inconsistent. I started to rip into the guy and he deleted the comment. Unfortunately, the social media complaining is also inconsistent. It really is. Because unfortunately, the praise is not equal to the negativity, at least by the same people. Because there's just as many, after game 2, I'm sure a lot of us felt like Bucks in 5. And after game 3, I'm sure people were saying the Bucks were done. And that people are saying the Bucks are done. And even if you believe that that's the case, like what more could supporting the Bucks for another 6 hours possibly hurt you? If you're living to complain, what more could 6 more hours possibly hurt to support them?
I'm not going to say anything yet.
James asked, when you get the chance, wondering to hear your opinion about the end of the season awards, who's going to win MVP? It's going to be Joel Embiid because it's quote unquote his turn.
Yeah.
That's the dumbest reason anybody's going to win an MVP, but he's going to, and it's going to be.
Yep.
Bobby Portis didn't win 6th Man of the Year because he made 22 starts. Brogdon didn't make any starts, so I think that's why he won 6th Man of the Year. Brook Lopez finished a close second in Defensive Player of the Year, deserving to win it, in my opinion.
Even though he had like 7,000 more contested shots, but
yeah, something around that. It might have been like 6,999, but yeah, it was right around 7,000.
Yeah.
Taylor asked if they have been playing Jay a lot more than he has this series. We'll get to that, I think, when we're gonna come up with some thoughts on the team. Can't we feed Butler some old? Can't tell what emoji that is. Old shrimp. He's been a beast. His turn exactly. Yeah, I don't
You
want to.
You want to poison the guy? Jeez, Greg.
Gas station sushi. No, we want to beat guys when they're at their best.
I agree.
Some slow shooting and some turnovers cut the 30-point lead in half. Kind of made the Bucks sweat out the game for a minute or two. But Drew Holiday stole a rebound from Zeller, made a cross-court pass to Bobby Portis for a three that gave the Bucks 23 threes. That was the franchise record in the playoffs. Pat Connaughton hit number 24. So number 24 hit number 24, which totally worked. And then Pat hit another one, made 25 threes. That tied an NBA playoff record. Last time it had been done was the 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers. So Drew Holiday finished with 24 points, 11 assists, 5 rebounds, only 3 turnovers. Brook Lopez had 25 points. Chris had 16, 6 rebounds, and 7 assists. Grayson Allen had 16 points. Bobby Portis had 13 and 15. Joe Ingles had 17 points. He was 6 of 7 for the field and 5 of 6 on threes. And 4 for 4.
Talked a lot of trash. Talked a lot of trash.
So let's go to game 3. For me, it really started with the first quarter. It was a slow start, 21 points in the first quarter. And I will say over the series, it's been, in my opinion, efficiency has been more important than turnovers.
Okay.
That's my opinion. And I think it's fair founded in the 4 games that have been played, especially when you consider Miami is shooting 38% on wide open threes, which I think is a reasonable percentage. If you're wide open, you should make 40%. I think that's totally reasonable. But here's the thing, and I told Jake this before the show. I've tried to be mad about it, and I can't. I just can't get myself to be upset. But Miami is shooting 52% on contested threes in this series.
What do you do with that?
I mean, I've seen people blaming officiating, and the way that the game was officiated at the end of game 4 was absolutely frustrating. But seeing 52% on contested threes, I don't know how you can do anything but tip your cap to it.
Yeah. It's really the only thing left to do.
I mean, Miami was 16 of 33 on threes in game 3 and 15 of 17 from the free throw line. The Bucks had 22 assists and 18 turnovers, which was a factor. But Miami won the rebounding battle 44-37. What was it that stood out to you in game 3?
Stealing a little bit of my thunder, but the Bucks got out physicaled. It looked like the Heat wanted it more, and the Bucks looked a step slow the entire night, in my opinion. One thing they went away from was going in the paint. In game 2, they had 52 points in the paint. In game 3, 36 points in the paint. The turnovers, we already brought that up. 11 turnovers in game 2, 18 turnovers in game 3. So the Bucks were, and I don't mean this to sound harsh, but with great players, you have better expectations. With great teams, you have higher expectations. So I feel like the Bucks are a great team. They aren't playing up to their standards. So the Bucks looked lazy. The Bucks looked slow. And they looked just not into the game.
In my opinion, one of the factors as well is and I don't blame them for this because it's rare that you have a good shooting night like the Bucks did in game 2. But I think they tried to ride their shooting a little bit too much in game 3, expecting the hot shooting to continue and not, like you said, going into the paint, which generates those open looks and helps you make those threes. So playing inside out, we'll talk about that again.
Yeah, I mean, listen, man. If there's one thing that we know under Coach Spo is the Heat are not gonna let you just walk by and half-ass it. They're gonna make you earn every damn win.
Eric Spoelstra is a great coach.
He is. He's probably top 3, top 5 right now in the league. Off the top of my head.
I have no problem saying top 5 without even thinking about it.
No problem either. But even when the Bucks swept the Heat a couple of years ago, and everybody was bringing it up for the series, we brought it up. Everybody brought it up, right? We were prisoners of the moment in that particular moment, but we earned victories. I mean, Chris Middleton basically had to make a game winner in Game 1.
Yep.
We had to earn both victories on the road. Those were hard fought wins. So the Heat are not going to give you a game. They're going to fight. Spo has those guys ready to play. They're going to play up in your face defense. They're going to try to force you into bad passes or awkward, hard, tough passes, turnovers, get some run out, get some easy baskets. But for us, and to their credit, like you said, they're making a very high percentage of contested threes right now. So when you add in the fact, like I said, they're going to play in your face defense, that's tough to overcome.
That's how you have games where the Charlotte Hornets score 138 points and beat you by 20.
Yeah, I mean,
Indiana Pacers are capable of doing the same thing.
Right.
They just don't do them often enough.
Right.
And you said this before the show, and we can use it to transition into Game 4. But you don't believe that Jimmy Butler is going to score 56 points again in Milwaukee, especially.
Bro, do you understand how superhuman that guy went? Like,
it was nuts. If somebody on the Bucks was doing it, like, we'd probably be losing our shit.
I would be flipping out. But I mean, even still watching it, and I'm mature enough now to take a step back and kind of just appreciate greatness, even in the moment, even against my own teams. So when I take a step back and I just watch that as a basketball fan, I'm just like, wow, like wow.
It's one of those things where, like, if you're scrolling on like Facebook Reels or TikTok or whatever,
right,
and you see like what's the biggest I'm him performance ever,
right?
Like Jimmy Butler in Game 4 had an I'm him performance. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah, that stadium was rocking. He was rocking. He said, "This is his," and
yeah,
it was crazy. It was crazy. The Bucks had control of this game all night long until I don't even know how to explain what happened. I truly don't. I'm at a loss for words of what happened, but there definitely are positives to take away from this game.
Sure.
And you're not going to see either of us sit here right now and we don't believe that the Milwaukee Bucks can win 3 straight games. We both firmly believe that the Bucks can run 3 off right now.
Yep.
2 of them at home, protect home court with your best player back, right? God forbid he has to leave another game early. Let's knock on wood right now for that. And then, like I just said, we were controlling Game 4 the entire night until
outside
the last
of
6
one
minutes.
Stretch in the second quarter, I'll say.
Yeah. That was you're probably right on that, but
the Bucks at that point of the game, and this was what my thought was the Bucks needed to rebound more effectively, and this is going to tie into some of the stuff we're going to talk about after. But getting a slow start in the second quarter, needing to rebound more effectively, the game getting tied at 38. I literally wrote in my notes, Brook Lopez did have a second chance bucket that ended the Heat run, and then a Giannis layup followed. The Bucks went on a 7-0 run after that. I literally wrote in my notes, the Bucks need to put asses on bodies.
Yeah, and you texted that to me too.
It's not enough to be good at judging rebounds and jumping to grab them.
I agree.
Everybody's coming at that ball to try to jump, to just swat it out of your hand, to hit the ball towards half court and have somebody on their team grab it. Everybody on Miami is playing that way. And that is a way that a smaller team can negate size.
Yeah.
And the Heat did it in Game 4.
Yeah.
So there needs to be a more concerted effort to box out.
I agree with you, because when you look at the rebounding, the Bucks had 16 offensive rebounds. 16 of their 46 rebounds were offensive. We had 30 defensive rebounds. That is uncalled for when we have a size advantage like that.
Yeah. Taylor said we got to be dogs again, and that's absolutely. I mean, is there really anything else you want to say about Game 4? I mean, like, we know what happened.
That's it.
And the Bucks missed shots. Like, they just the fourth quarter. Oh man, this hurts. The fourth quarter, Miami scored 41 points after scoring 28, 22, 28. 41 points in the fourth quarter. Oh man, this is so nasty. The Bucks were 9 of 27 on field goals in the fourth quarter. That's 33%. Miami was 13 of 18. That is 72.2% from the field in the fourth quarter.
And to make it more disgusting, you said they had 28 in the first quarter, right?
Yeah.
Jimmy had 22 of the 28 in the first quarter for the Heat. Think about that. One man is destroying us.
And for the people saying put Giannis on him, he's scored against Giannis too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he scores against everybody.
He has. He literally has scored against everybody.
They're running one play. They're running one play. High pick and roll because we play drop coverage. And we're going to get to a situation where we're going to talk about something, and I have a way to fix that.
Okay. So we each have potentially 3 ways that the Bucks can fix what's ailing them in the first 4 games of the series. And so let's start with that. Mm-hmm. And let's go to that. So you have your 3, I have my 3. What do you want me to go first? Because this was your idea. So do you want me to go first and you can give your 3?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So my 3 are pretty simple. First one is to stay aggressive. Mm-hmm. Don't let the foot off the throat. I don't care how many points you're winning by. I don't care if it means running up the score. I literally do not care. It's the playoffs. Nobody's feelings are getting hurt in the playoffs.
True.
Number 2 is high quality shot selection. And I mean this in the strictest way possible. High quality shot selection.
Okay.
Because it got him into some trouble at the end of game 4. Drew Holiday got some late shot clock situations where Kyle Lowry was able to get some strips because he knew Drew Holiday had to put the shot up. It happened at least twice. Mm-hmm. And my last one is points in the paint. Because, Jake, you perfectly alluded to it from games 2 to game 3, where game 2, 52 points in the paint, mm-hmm. Game 3 was 36. Mm-hmm. Points in the paint, and this is what built their lead in game 4, was Giannis running pick and roll with Brook Lopez, and Giannis putting on a masterclass with his passing. That's what built the lead for the Bucks. Pounding the ball in the paint with Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis in game 2 is what created open looks for everybody else. I'm not saying all of the 25 threes the Bucks made in game 2 came because they got points in the paint early, but that does generate the thought process in Miami's head saying the Bucks are scoring at us in the paint. We have to get back and recover to the paint. That's what allows the Bucks to have that extra step of space to get those 3-pointers off. So mm-hmm. It needs to be an inside-out mentality for the Bucks, not an outside-in. That's my 3rd way to fix the Bucks.
All right. So one of mine is pretty much the same as yours, and mine is push the pace on offense and defense, right? And one way that you do that is you crash the offensive boards. We talked about one of the improvements this year was crashing the offensive boards. Now, I wrote down the offensive rebounds for every game. Game 1, 8. Game 2, 9. Game 3, 8. Game 4, 16. So you tell the guys to go crash the offensive boards. Basically, what you're saying is we want high energy, high intensity, right? So when you think of high energy, high intensity, who's one of the first players that should come to your mind on this Milwaukee Bucks team? Javon Carter.
Oh, I like that too.
Javon Carter. I'm gonna get crazy here, but please just hear me out. I'm not mad at just Chris, okay? I'm also mad at Drew. So this is one way that I'm going to fix both of them with one move. I enter Javon Carter into the starting lineup. He immediately ups the intensity on defense. You allow him to pick up full court, just like he has done all season long. You want a dog in the fucking court? I'm gonna get intense now. I'm so sorry. You want a dog in the court? You want to up the intensity? You put your biggest dog on the court, right? The biggest dog we got is Javon Carter. He may be the shortest dog, but he's the biggest dog in my opinion. The biggest heart.
I see that.
You put him in the starting lineup. That moves Chris to the bench. Chris and Bobby Portis off the bench will absolutely feast. Chris Middleton was hooping off the bench. He'd be the best bench player in the playoffs. Not even second to nobody, right?
Yeah.
The best bench player in the playoffs would be Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton and Bobby kill the second units. It allows for runs to not go crazy when Giannis and Drew go to the bench. Also, by putting Javon on the floor with Drew, you have another ball handler with Drew. So now you have those two and Giannis as ball handlers. Matters how much bite is in the dog. Hey, that's true. And then my third thing is please throw different looks at Jimmy. And I know that we're going to talk about a different situation here, but please throw different looks at him. You cannot allow us to keep going under screens. You cannot allow us to keep playing drop coverage. Jimmy's too good. He's going to figure that out. Clearly, he had 50 goddamn 6 points. Yeah. He's going to figure that out. He's been eating us. Right?
So what, in your opinion, is the way to stop Jimmy Butler?
And that's a perfect transition. You got, like I said, you got to throw different looks. Sometimes full court pressure him. Make him work to bring the damn ball up, right? When he gets the ball, he likes that elbow extended, right? That's a term in basketball, elbow extended. I think when Jimmy gets below the free throw line on the wing, we double him. Force him to be a playmaker. You force Kevin Love to make those shots.
Right.
Kevin Love's not going to shoot 100%. And yes, he's going to make some backbreaker threes every once in a while. He's a professional and a very good one at that.
So will Caleb Martin and Max Strus.
And they will as well. But you cannot let Jimmy score 22 of 28 in the first quarter. Yeah. Slowing him down in the first quarter has been a problem this series. He has absolutely feasted in the first quarter. Yeah. I think the first quarter of the night, we throw the goddamn kitchen sink at this guy. Double him when he gets on the wing, full court pressure, go over screens, force him to finish at the rim, and do not fall for that stupid little pump fake in the paint.
Yeah.
You know what was the most annoying thing to me, and we talk about this all the time, is when they don't call things both ways, right? Drew Holiday literally had a layup where his foot got tangled with Bam Adebayo, fell to the floor, missed the layup. No call. I'm like, all right, whatever. Playoffs. It is what it is, right? Hands off. Same possession. Jimmy comes down the floor, falls, and they give him an and one. The worst and one I think I've ever seen in the playoffs is when Joe Ingles clinches butt cheeks and Jimmy Butler runs around him and flails up the shot. It goes off the board. And I'm like, really? That's what we're doing today, right? Do not fall for the pump fake. Pressure him full court. Just make the man work, okay? He looked literally exhausted in the first quarter of Game 4, and then he went berserk in the fourth quarter. I don't understand how that happens.
Yeah, I think the ref, and Taylor said the refs have been ridiculous, and it's not. I'm not saying that officiating is the reason we've lost this, series lead potentially.
Agreed.
But the sixth foul on Chris Middleton should not have been a block.
No, that was terrible.
For Giannis to get called for a charge in the first quarter, for Max Strus leaning into him and getting a charge called on Giannis, and then, like you said, the consistency in the fourth quarter for Chris Middleton to be in that same position and for him to take the hit and then be called for a block, that's, to me, what's more frustrating than Chris Middleton getting his sixth foul.
I agree with that.
It's a lack of consistency by, both plays going in Miami's favor.
Yeah, I agree. So,
and as far as stopping Jimmy Butler, doubling him is, in my opinion, one way to slow him down. I'm going to throw a monkey wrench out there, and I think it's going to be potentially somewhat of a hot take, but we need Wesley Matthews healthy.
Yeah.
The Bucks, if Wesley Matthews is at all close to playing, we need Wesley Matthews. I think so far he only played game 1, but he has been the best one-on-one defender for Jimmy Butler.
He might have been our best one-on-one defender in the season. Him and Drew are 1A, 1B, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Wes has one job, play defense, right?
Wesley, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, Wesley Matthews kind of owns DeMar DeRozan.
Oh, he does, 100%.
So I think as far as stopping Jimmy Butler goes, I think the Bucks truly need Wesley Matthews healthy.
I'm with that.
Taylor did ask potentially more Jay Crowder. He had a pretty rough game 1.
Yeah.
And hasn't played a lot since then. I just personally, I don't know. It's not that he's not the guy to stop Jimmy Butler. I feel like he's just a little bit too big and not quite, like, he's got the dog in him for sure.
Right.
But I think Jimmy Butler is too quick for Jay Crowder, I guess is what I'm seeing.
Yeah. I'm reading James' comment. He
Yeah.
said, "I agree
Basically
that."
saying that Giannis, because of his play style, gets charges called on him more.
Yeah, but at that point, you're assuming that it's a charge, and you're not reffing the game. You're assuming. Is that the way that you ref? I sure hope not. Like that's like me. Like that's like me and Tyler were talking before the game. Game 4. We're like, man, with Giannis back, I fully I assume that we're going to win. You can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
We can assume all day. That doesn't make it true.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just because Giannis goes to the rim doesn't mean that every time he goes to the rim and somebody gets knocked over, it's a charge.
Right.
Max Strus was leaning into him. That was a block.
Right. Yep. Taylor said not for Jimmy, but just overall. Honestly, overall, like Jay Crowder is just not really the best matchup for Miami because Miami is a smaller team.
Yeah.
Like we needed Jay Crowder for the Celtics and potentially the Cavaliers. They're bigger teams. Miami's a small team. Like it's Bam, Kevin Love, and they put in Cody Zeller in a game in the playoffs on purpose.
Yeah.
Other than that, it's Kevin Love and Bam Adebayo. They have no other bigs.
Yeah. And I'm gonna say I'm gonna add a bonus way in to fix the Bucks. If you are getting guarded by either Kevin Love, who yes at times has the ability to stop a dribble drive, or Duncan Robinson, and you are not driving to the rim, you're sitting your ass next to me. That's what I would say if I was Coach Bud. Duncan Robinson doesn't stop a freaking nosebleed. Okay? And
also, if Gabe Vincent is guarding Chris Middleton, give the ball to Chris Middleton.
I don't want to see. I don't understand why Bud does this every once in a while. His rotations are so funky sometimes. I'm okay with putting Pat in the game and giving him playing time. I'm okay with that. I am.
Mm-hmm.
But in times, he takes out Grayson after Grayson is one of the few people creating with his dribble drive. And it's just like it's bad timing, in my opinion.
Justin and Brittany, welcome in. Justin's got the jokes right away for Kevin Love.
Here goes for men. Kevin Love. We can say anything we want about Kevin Love, but he's been hitting shots. But he has no chance of guarding anybody out on the perimeter. Let's just be honest. And there was actually a play that really irked me from the last game. It was in the first quarter. Drew Holiday, who is the master at finishing in the paint, one of the best finishers for a point guard. Super strong, super great body control, finish with both hands, right?
Yep.
We've talked about his ability to finish with the left all season long. Last couple of years, to be completely honest with you.
Yep.
He drives left. He has Kyle Lowry, 5'10" Kyle Lowry under the basket. And instead of just going up for a lefty layup, decides to throw it out for Grayson Allen. Now, credit to him. Great read because Grayson Allen was wide open. Like, I could have had a chance to at least hit the rim on that three-point attempt if I was as wide open as Grayson Allen, right? But no, you are Drew Holiday. You are Drew freaking Holiday. You are going to make an all-NBA team this year. You finished the layup. You prove your point. I want more aggressiveness out of this entire team, top to bottom. Coaching staff, everybody. Everybody needs to be in tune. We have no more room for error, right?
Yep.
So it's go time. It's now or never.
So last couple things on the team before I talk about basically fandom.
Yes.
Parallels that I've noticed for the Bucks specifically, and just for the series, the higher 3-point shooting team has won all 4 games.
Yep.
The better rebounding team has won 3 out of the 4 games. The Bucks did out-rebound the Heat by 1 in game 1. Efficiency has mattered more than turnovers. But even with all that, the series is not over.
True.
Again, this brings me back to the point of, even if you believe that it's over and you want to bitch and complain that the season's over and the Bucks squandered an opportunity, whatever it be, what can it possibly hurt to delay that complaining until tomorrow morning, or until Saturday morning, or until next Monday morning? I mean, what could it possibly hurt you? You will have the entire offseason to complain if that's really what you're waiting to do. Leave everybody else alone if that's what you want to do, and then come in and come back when the Bucks are eliminated if it happens. Don't talk about it before we're even there.
I agree.
It's not over until somebody wins 4 games.
It is the first of 4, not first of 3.
Here's the thing. And, it's I want to say 13% is what people are saying that the chances are that the Bucks win the series. It's 13%. What were we at for the Packers making the playoffs?
It was like 2%, I believe.
It was like,
1 or 2.
And they were like a quarter away from being there.
Yeah, they literally controlled their own destiny.
Yes. Like, these things can happen. We literally had a 3% chance that Miami would win game 4, and they did it. The low percentage things happen.
They do.
Now, here's the thing. 2 of the 3 games, like Jake mentioned, are at home.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bucks had winning streaks of 3 or more games 7 times this season. 7 times this year, the Bucks won 3 or more games straight, including 9-0 to start the season and a 16-game win streak from the end of January to the beginning of March.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor said he thinks it was 6% for the Packers. Isaac said Bucks in 6%. Hey, I'm totally down to roll with that if that's what the percentage ends up being.
Bro, if that's a thing, we can make that a hashtag. That'd be fire.
I'm totally on board with it.
That'd be fire.
Greg said it's not over to the last buzzer. Be fierce and be a beast. Make the Celtics squirm that we're coming for them. And we'll get there. We're just at this point, we're taking it 1 game, 1 series, 1 game at a time. And I looked it up. I looked up a study from the National Institute of Health, and they did a study on the perceptions of playing in elimination games. They studied 1,930 elimination games in the playoffs in the NBA.
Damn.
In game,
Here he goes.
Game fives. Game fives, teams, the home team has won 75.3% of games.
Okay.
Game sixes, the home team has won 54.6% of games. So if the Bucks win tonight, game 6 is going to be in Miami on Friday night. You're essentially looking at a 54%. That's a little over a coin flip. Now, if Miami loses that game and we're coming back to Milwaukee for a game 7, that's when the squirming starts for Miami because the home team wins game 7 81.8% of the time.
If the Bucks get this to game 7, they're winning this series.
Yes.
They got to win tonight, and we're going to take it game by game. Right. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself.
Right.
They got to win tonight, take care of business, protect home court, right?
Right.
Game 6 is the one where you're looking at, and I did the same thing with the Packers, right? When I was looking at the schedule, I was like, that Miami game is the one. That Miami game is the one that's really going to determine our season, right? When we were going down the stretch, we're talking Miami. Wow, shocker. We played Miami on Christmas Day. That was a great, exciting game that we ended up winning, comeback win, whatever you want to say. But that game really determined if we controlled our own destiny. And obviously we won that game and whatever. But that game 6 is the one that's really going to determine this.
Yeah.
You got to go game by game, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
But
yes, there's a chance, Steve.
There's always a chance.
So and James said play every game like it's game 7. Basically, what I wrote was that you're facing elimination. There's nowhere to retreat. There's no, we'll get them back tomorrow. At this point, it is a burn the boats situation. There's nowhere to go. And it's not obviously real life burning the boats. Like, you're not going to drown if the enemy pushes you back. But you'll go home. You'll be eliminated. That's the reality. And now this same study that I just referenced also did a study on golfers.
Oh.
Now, this is a study on loss aversion. And the study of 2.5 million putts.
Damn.
This is a gigantic study. 2.5 million putts. The study showed that golfers tried harder to avoid bogey than they did to make birdie.
That actually makes sense in my brain. That makes sense in my brain. Because if you miss birdie, you have par to lean on. If you miss bogey, you're going double bogey. And that hurts the soul.
So, yeah, making the par to avoid the bogey, players were trying harder to avoid the bogey than they were to make the birdie. And that's not to say that guys aren't trying to make birdies and that's the Bucks weren't trying to win this series in 4 games, 5 games, 6 games, 7 games, whatever it may be. But loss aversion is a real thing. Now, I want to relate this to people. So there's going to be some vulnerability involved in this next part. But I'm going to be real and I'm going to say that if you declared this series over before it's actually over, like regardless of what happens in game 5, 6, 7, should any of them happen, like game 5 is obviously happening, but should game 6 and 7 even be necessary, if you declare the series over before it's over, you have no guts. I'm sorry.
I'm with that.
And here's the thing, and I know this phrase has been said by people who have won bigger championships than I have, but if you have no guts, you're not going to get any glory from it. There's never been a scenario where a guy has gone into a situation or a sports team or life or whatever it's going to be timid and being like, oh, I hope we win, and has come out at the very tip top of whatever it is that you're doing. I don't care if it's sports, life, jobs, relationships. I don't care what it is. If you're going into it with no guts, no intestinal fortitude, like my college basketball coach used to say, he used to bring up intestinal fortitude. If you have none, you don't deserve to win. And this is going to sound super fucking harsh, but I don't want you in my fan base.
Yeah, I'm sick and tired of those weak ass Nancy's too, bro.
I'm sorry. Like I'm genuinely sorry to say that and to be that like harsh to the point. But if you are literally in the business of declaring things over before they are over, I don't want to associate with you. I don't care how hopeless it feels, how unlikely the odds seem. It is literally not over until it is over. Every single outcome that can possibly happen in sports will eventually happen. They will. They will happen. It doesn't matter what the chances are. It's going to happen. I don't care if it's a 13% chance to win a series when you're down 3-1. I don't care that only 19 teams out of 70 times have come back to win 3-1 series. We saw it happen in the finals less than a decade ago at the biggest stage in basketball.
Against one of the greatest teams of all time.
A total dynasty of a team. These things will happen. So my question is, why not now? Why not the Bucks?
Dude, this is what I'm going to ask. Do the Bucks have the best player in the world, yes or no?
Yes.
We have way higher than a 13% chance then. We have 2 of the 3 at home. We have the best fucking player in the world. We still have one of the best two-way point guards in the league. We still have one of the best shot makers in the league. We still have Brook Lopez, who is second in Defensive Player of the Year. We have a Brook Lopez who can go down and give you 30. We have Brook Lopez, a guy that can go give you 9 blocks. We have Giannis, a guy that can score 50, had grabbed 20 rebounds, 10 assists. We have a great bench. We have a great locker room. And like I said, 2 of the 3 are at home. This series is not over. Nope. And I tell you what, man, you fired me up by saying that you don't want them in our fan base. Dude, you know how many people, just Packers fans in general, whether they talk sideways about Rodgers, they talk sideways about Jordan Love, or they're talking about this, talking about that, talking about Goot, talking about everything that they have no business talking about, quite frankly, because they're such weak-minded people. You know how many people I have got to hate me in my own fan base because I'm just sick and tired of them being fans of the same teams as me?
Yeah.
Because they're weak. I don't want people to think that we're weak.
And here's the thing is that timidity, it's not ever going to be prosperous for it. And here's the thing, like you can be knowledgeable about the subject, but there's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. And I feel that that's something that Jake and I are trying to bridge the gap to. And Brittany loyalty is totally a perfect aspect of this because, and I'm going to ask Jake a question about this like in a minute here. If the Bucks lose tonight, are you going to stop being a fan of the Bucks?
That is like the quickest answer I can give is no. Absolutely not.
No.
I'm a Bucks fan. I was born a Bucks fan. I'm gonna
Yeah.
die a Bucks fan. My kids are Bucks fans. I've
Yeah.
made my girlfriend into a gigantic Bucks fan. She didn't even know what fucking basketball was. She won't admit that, but she didn't know what basketball was. She didn't know how it worked. She didn't even know how long the quarters were.
Like, yes,
She
like
loves
I
the
get
Bucks
that
now.
there would be disappointment involved, but nobody's gonna quit being a fan.
Yeah.
And if you are, like, I'm not sorry to see you go. Sorry. But and Justin said, as the fat lady sung, she has not. James said, win or lose situations like this is what you want to be able to look back at the games, matches, series, knowing you gave it your all at the end. And that's my first question for fans. And I'm going to pose the question to Jake, because Jake and I are the ones on the show. Is, do you want the emotions of your past in your future? And this is a nice question, because you can ask this in any aspect of life. Do you want the emotions of your past in your future? Would you be proud of the way you reacted after games 1 through 4 if the Bucks win games 5 through 7? Would you be proud of the way that you reacted? I can say that if the answer is yes, then that's great. If the answer is maybe, maybe not, that there might be something to work on there. But if your answer is no, that if the Bucks won games 5, 6, and 7, and you just think that because you're on social media and people aren't going to be checking your receipts that you can continue to act that way, you're probably a miserable person. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And it's something that I would really encourage people to think about. Would you be proud of the emotions you had and the things that you posted after game 4 if the Bucks won games 5 through 7? Even if they don't, would you want the emotions that you felt from being disappointed and, not having that turn into motivation, which can be a good thing? That's why guys like Stephon Diggs watched the Chiefs celebrate their AFC championship 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. He used that disappointment, turned into motivation to work harder. Mm-hmm. But that's not what social media is. It's not. It's a cesspool of negativity. So I'll pose the question to you. Do you want the emotions of your past in your future?
If I was younger, my answer would be no. But now that I've matured, I could tell you that I treat every single game the same. And Tyler told me to be real today. So in this moment, I'm just going to be Jake Nett, the Jake Nett that Tyler has known for 16 years of his life. I treat every single game the same, whether we win or lose. Every game that I watch, now I get up super early for work, so whether we win or lose, I do the same thing. This is what I do. If we win, I turn the TV off, sometimes when the clock's running out, sometimes immediately after the game's over. If we lose, same exact thing. Now, if we win, I allow myself to feel that happiness for 30 seconds, 60 seconds maybe. I'm not really putting a timer on it. After that, I realize that I have to go to bed, right? So I walk up to my room. I see my daughter. I see my girlfriend. I give them a kiss. I go to bed. I wake up the next morning and I still have to go to work, right?
Yep.
Because I realize that I still got bills to pay. Now, if we lose, I physically allow myself, because I want to be so emotionally mature that nothing bothers me. I want to be in 100% control of how I feel, because I feel like that's the most mature way to go about life. I don't want what somebody says about me to control me. And I hope one day that I could teach my kids this too. Now, if we lose, I shut the game off. I allow myself to feel that pain. Now, sometimes there's naughty things said in my head, but I allow myself to feel that pain of a loss. But I don't allow it to drag in to the next 60 seconds of my life. So 60 seconds, I let myself feel that pain. Again, I walk up to my room. I see my daughter and my girlfriend. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm happy again. When I see them, I'm just happy. Again, I give them a kiss and I go to bed, right? I wake up for work the next morning because, again, I have bills to pay. So either way, I allow myself 30 seconds, 60 seconds to live in that moment, whatever that moment is. If it's a loss, if it's a win, I allow myself to feel those emotions, and then I move on. And that's what I think everybody should do. I'm not saying I'm perfect or I'm right, But I'm telling you, a lot of people would be better off with this approach than immediately running to social media and being like, fire this guy, trade this guy. This team has blown everything. They've completely botched this season. No, they have not. Again, I told you this, Tyler. 2 weeks ago, you were not saying that. After game 2, you were not saying that. So because we lost 2 games in a row in the playoffs, now the season is botched. And this takes me back to another conversation we had, Tyler. Only one team wins the title. One team. That could be the Lakers this year with the way they look right now. That could be the Celtics. The Celtics are going to beat the Hawks. They could easily get past the 76ers. And if the Milwaukee Bucks are not in it, there's nobody stopping the Celtics. James is probably really happy to hear that.
Yeah, he said if it's a championship, he's getting drunk and partying. If it's a championship, that's the time you allow the emotion to overflow, because that's the pinnacle. But even when the Bucks win the championship, you still got to go to work the next day, unless you take a vacation day. But that's, you still got responsibility there.
Right. And I guess my last point I'm going to say is you have responsibilities that aren't going to stop, right? And a lot of people do this. I'm getting cotton mouth because I'm getting so fired up, but a lot of people do this with individual sports players. Rodgers has been the most popular one for the last couple of years with Green Bay. People have a very hard time separating the player from the person.
Right.
And people have a very hard time separating the emotions of sports from the emotions of real life, which is why that super sad stat, which I am not proud that our fan base is attached to, of abuse after Packers losses. I'm not proud of that. That's not funny to me. I don't find that funny that people's wives get beat up because the Packers gave up 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter and blew a lead. That's not funny.
Or the fact that the people whose NFL teams lose on Sundays, that on Mondays they consume on average 10% more calories on Monday.
That's not funny either. You're literally physically hurting yourself because of a team. And I love my teams too. Don't get me wrong. Right. I argue with my own girlfriend about my teams because sometimes she's uneducated and she doesn't know what she's talking about. And then she's like, "You're my smart sports guy," and then she argues with me. That's a long story. That's a story for a different day. But the point I'm trying to make is you still have to be a person at the end of the day. And you can separate those emotions of being mad, which is exactly why I allow myself to feel that pain or that happiness, and I choose to move on.
So I'm going to say 2 things before I ask my next question. And the first one is that the way that Jake and I are approaching this, and it's it's a tough thing to be the first people doing this, because I do believe that Jake and I are the first people to try to combine sports analysis and mental health. It is a complete new frontier of sports analysis, and that we are trying to have these parallels from sports analysis to life. It's a completely new concept that Jake and I don't even fully understand, because it's really never been done.
Yeah.
And it's not prevalent. It's way more popular to go on ESPN and argue with the person across the counter from you.
Yeah.
Now, the second thing that I want to say, and it's going to be to give you a compliment, Jake, is that I'm proud of you for saying the sentence that you want to be emotionally mature enough to not let the outcome affect your mindset, your emotions. If you have the ability to transcend the emotion of the moment of the outcome, like, that's the goal.
Mm-hmm.
And Bryant is usually pretty good about saying this on Sundays, is that he doesn't take his notes on Sunday about the Packers. He takes them, usually he starts on Mondays when the emotion of the game has passed, because it's tough to deal with the emotions of that moment. So Bryant, he waits until the next day. Steve said attitude is a choice, and that's absolutely true. Like, you get to choose, and this is another quote that I've heard, and I've heard it from tons of sources, whether it be books, podcasts, people, whatever. Steve Harvey has said it. Life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you react. My dad said, I'm always distraught after the final game of a season if it isn't a win, but the next day it's another team's turn in the beginning of the next year. Let's get this time. And that's the perfect thing, especially with us being a 4-team, 5-sport covering show.
Mm-hmm.
That tomorrow we're still gonna be looking forward to the Brewers series with the Angels if the Bucks lose. We're still gonna be streaming the draft tomorrow night.
Yep.
Taylor, we appreciate it. Taylor said he's grateful to have us, and the guys are doing amazing things. And we have more stuff coming up in May, which we're really excited about. Greg said he'll be 68 on Tuesday. He's gotten better with Packers losses, but have yet to hold back when UW loses. Those feelings stay with me. Brittany said, yay, Brew Crew. Greg likes my dad's take. He said, and then he also said, attitude is the number one character trait in life. And yeah, and that's the thing. It's seasons. You know, it's not the end of the world. It's not like the Bucks lose their franchise if they lose as a 1 seed to an 8 seed, which it wouldn't be the first time that's ever happened either.
Right. Tim Duncan, the greatest power forward ever, lost as a 1 seed to an 8 seed.
So this is my next thing, and this is a directly a direct relation to social media, and the point is you get out what you put in. So the question is, what are you putting in? Jake and I are on camera putting in what we think, and that's what we're going to get back from Game 5, Game 6, and Game 7 if they end up happening. But we are trying to put in level-headedness and positivity and, the world not coming to an end if it happens. Also, not declaring things over before they're over, not giving up before it's actually over. Having the guts to stick with it, facing elimination. And Jake said this, if your first thought after a loss is to run to social media to be the first one to complain, that's what you're putting in. What do you think you're going to get out?
More people like you.
It's more negativity. Yes. If you're putting in negativity, you're going to get negativity in return. So Jake and I are trying to put positivity out, and I'm really proud of this comment section. I truly am proud of this entire comment section.
I was going to say something when you get done here.
That everything that we've said over the last 15 minutes, that people feel similarly, and that we can actually affect people's mindsets that way. Mm-hmm. That makes me feel good. That makes me feel that no matter what happens tonight, that I've actually made a difference in the grand scheme of the world in a net good way. Mm-hmm. That it's been a struggle at points in my life, but honestly, like the way that these comments are going and the way that I'm feeling from the discussion that we're having is it makes me proud of myself, which has been a hard thing for me to admit and do in my life.
Well, I'm going to take over for a second. First of all, I'm proud of you. I know your kids are proud of you, so you should always feel proud of yourself when you wake up every day, buddy. You've come a long way, man. Taylor said he's proud of us. He said it again. Taylor, I'm gonna say something to you guys. Everybody in the comments, people that have commented on our show a year ago, everybody that's come here for the positive attitude that we reinforce. I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of I'm gonna say it's not big enough. Not yet. It will be one day. But for right now, I'm still gonna say I'm proud of the community that Tyler and I have built. I'm proud of the way that you guys have taken this stance that we are taking. We're going out on a limb here, and we're trying to combine mental health with sports, and we're putting them together so everybody can be happier overall, right? And I'm proud of the people in this comment section. Also, I want people to know that I'm not dogging my girlfriend. I want to clear that up. My girlfriend is smart in a lot of ways that I'm not smart, and she helps me out way more than she realizes with a lot of stuff that she doesn't even realize that she helps me with. But she makes my life really easy, and I'm proud of her too. I probably don't tell her that enough. I'm realizing this live on camera on Wisco Fanatics that I don't tell my girlfriend I'm proud of her enough, and it kind of hurts my feelings a little bit. But I'm proud of all of you. I'm proud of my girlfriend. I'm proud of myself as well. I'm proud of Tyler. No matter what happens, people, we're still Wisconsin sports fans, and like they say, it's free to be nice. It's free to be a good person. It's easy. So let's just be nice and let's just help each other out, right? Brittany, do not tell her I said any of that. You got that? I don't
She's
need her knowing
upstairs
I'm all
watching right
mushy.
now. Some fans might think that Bucks players, are taking the stakes lightly. Steve said, unfortunately, negativity is usually met with more negativity, and that's part of why we're doing what we're doing. I know I've put this stat out there before that the average is 8 to 9 negative posts per positive one. That's a huge ratio. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
I wish it was 8 to 9 in the other direction.
I agree.
It's I liked your take about wanting to have the emotional maturity to not let it affect you, to not let it affect the outcome affect your emotions. I wanted to go back up to a comment that Brittany made. She said it could be a great comeback story or a learning experience. Either way, it can be a positive outcome, and that's true. And I know people will call it like a moral victory or
Yep.
sunshines and rainbows. Like Jake and I have heard all that shit.
Mm.
We've heard everything you can possibly think of for remaining positive in negative situations that people have said. They've said them to us. And that's not going to make us stop doing what we're doing. And it's a situation where game 4, if the Bucks lose 4-1 to Miami, we're not going to blame it on officiating. We're not going to blame it on Giannis being out for 2 3/4 games.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is something that doesn't get enough, perception. Is the Miami Heat play a factor in this? So if it comes to a situation where Miami comes out and they just blow the doors off and whatever run they end up making, like there's respect to be there. And Steve's getting ahead of me and he's going exactly where I'm going. And I'm just gonna put it up here because Steve asks great questions and Steve's been great all Packers season, and he's asked us a lot of questions during the draft series. So I'm gonna give Steve some credit here. Steve said
better
another
be with us
takeaway
tomorrow, by the way, before you
yeah.
get into this.
Steve said without losses, the wins will never feel as sweet, and that's a true thing. And thankfully, we can translate this to life as well. Is if you never have adversity, like how will you ever learn to appreciate your wins in life?
Right.
I'm just going to put Taylor's comment on you next because it's how we learn and grow. That's the thing, is if you can turn let's I don't want this to be the situation, but if the Bucks lose tonight, if these players turn this from disappointment to motivation, can we as Bucks fans do the same thing? It's an open question, and I'll let you answer it in the way that you're thinking about it. But if the Bucks lose, can we turn that disappointment into motivation somehow?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that's how athletes run in their head. Is they take disappointment and they use it as motivation. You literally used an example before of Stephon Diggs using disappointment as motivation. I mean, we just
Michael
traded.
Jordan with the Pistons.
We just traded one of the best players in our franchise history. In my opinion, the best player in our franchise history, Aaron Rodgers. He used the disappointment of not being the first overall pick for 15 fucking years. And then he was just like, "Oh, they don't like me. Oh, they drafted another quarterback." He used that to win back-to-back MVPs. Like athletes literally use any excuse they can, anything, even if it's man-made disappointment. They use anything as motivation.
Giannis does that.
Yeah.
He's talked about it. He makes stuff up to motivate.
Giannis literally. I mean, everybody's heard the story a million times at this point, right? Giannis and Thanasis had to share shoes. They still use that same motivation, and that's nothing that they did wrong, but like that's just the way that they brought up. And you hear a million stories of kids growing up and they don't know their mom or dad, and like they made it out of the hood, and like players use that stuff as the chip on their shoulder to be great. So there's always next year, baby. And I hate that line. I'm not gonna lie to you. that line hurts. But
Right.
I
And that's I
I
think
do
where
love what
a lot
Brittany
of the
said
emotion
before.
comes from is that we know if the Bucks don't win tonight, we don't get to watch them play again until, summer league, and it's not obviously going to be everybody. And we don't get to watch them again until the preseason. That's not going to be everybody. And then we have to wait until the end of October to watch the Bucks more. And I understand that. It is disappointing. It's a bummer having to wait, 6 months to watch another Bucks basketball game. But it's, I don't know. I don't want to use the always next year, but Steve said Rodgers made it a narrative that he was on an underdog first round pick. I was going to say second pick at recess. Somebody's going to pay. There's things to be motivated, and there's a lot of trash talk on social media, and I know it'll happen if the Bucks lose. That Celtics fans are going to be in the Bucks comment sections, like it's going to happen. Heat fans will do the same thing. If we can use that as motivation to be obviously the bigger man, to be better, better people, right, than to do the kicking while people are down. But getting back to the sportsmanship of shaking hands after a game type thing, I think is the more mature approach. Greg said this win-loss perspective is very critical in our culture right now. Some young people rarely experience setbacks, so when adversity occurs, they lack the temerity to deal with it.
Let me answer that. I 100% agree with that. One, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like my dad tried to protect me from everything. Now, he allowed me to feel things, but I'm now, that's why I'm so big on the emotional maturity thing, because I want my kids to be able to deal with that stuff. And I feel like in this world today, in this everybody gets a participation trophy world that we live in today, this is going to be a discussion for a very long time. These kids are overprotected. They do not know how to dude, during COVID, they were giving kids their driver's license and they didn't even take the fucking test, dude. Like, that is how protected these kids are today. So when Greg says a comment like this about win-losses and how to deal with stuff, that is 100% the culture in this country, and it has got to freaking stop. We have to stop overprotecting kids.
We've talked about it, about putting the self-esteem into the journey, into the work ethic, and not into the outcome. Obviously, you want to be the one at the end of the season holding up the trophy.
Right.
But if you're not, and this is where Jake brought up that, I say that there's only one team wins a championship every season. It does not mean that everything that every other team did meant nothing.
Right.
That is so far from the truth, it's ridiculous. Because it's building blocks for all those players. Every single player that gets eliminated from the playoffs is going to say, I'm going to use it and I'm going to try to be better next year.
Yep.
And they're not going to start in October when the fans are going to start watching stuff again. They're starting tomorrow. We should do the same.
I mean, Giannis could use a mid-range, 10 to 15 feet, a little turnaround J. Let's not kid ourselves about that. Giannis is not a perfect player. Doesn't mean he's not the best. Doesn't mean he's not the most dominant right now. But if Giannis gets a turnaround J, I promise you he's definitely the best and most dominant, and he's unstoppable at that point. That is the third superlative that you put on top of Giannis. Unstoppable. Because if he has a turnaround J, you better just go talk to God before the game, because that's all you got left.
And we've put this out there too, that we want to normalize giving respect to our opponents when it's deserved. Obviously, if we get into a situation where, like, Miami wins on a last-second free throw that was a foul where there was no contact, but they can't review it by some, technicality or something like that, and that's the way it ends, like, there's other things that have led to this point.
Agreed.
So, we've been the best team through the regular season. We've built on that. We're at this position now where the back's against the wall and it's time to face the elimination game. regardless of what happens, win or lose, I would just ask those watching and listening to find a way to use it to be a better fan and a better person tomorrow.
Well said, buddy.
I don't know if there's anything else that you want to say. I mean,
Bucks and 7, baby. That's all I got. Let's go earn our goddamn lunch money, right? That's one of my favorite sayings, and I truly believe that it rings true in every sport. It's time to go on our fucking lunch money. Let's go. It's go time.
All right. So I want to give a thank you to everybody who's commenting along with us, and especially for those appreciating what we are trying to do and accomplish, and the impact that we're trying to make as Wisconsin sports fans, because we are the things that we're talking about, which I think qualifies us to talk about them. Mm-hmm. So we appreciate that that's resonating with people. I really do. I thank you, Taylor, for being a fan. I'm going to mention it one more time. We don't have an exact date yet, but there's Tim.
Tim made it. There. Hey, Tim.
We will be at American Family Field sometime in May. We don't have an exact date yet for what day, but we will. Jake and I, with the ladies from Mental Health America, will be setting up a table at American Family Field to promote our show and promote the mental health aspect of sports, whether it be participation, fandom, or analysis. We will be doing that at American Family Field, working with the Brewers, which we are very, very excited about for next month. May is Mental Health Month, so we're working on stuff for that. So we're really, really excited to be doing that with the Brewers next month. And then as far as the rest of the week goes, regardless of tonight's outcome, we will be streaming live during the draft tomorrow. And we will be streaming live during the draft on Friday night. So if you want to watch the draft with us and get some entertainment more than what's just on TV and listening to Mel Kiper talk about all the picks that he was wrong in all of his mock drafts that he did.
And his stupid ass haircut that he's had for 35 years. Good
yeah, and if you don't want to listen to Mel Kiper and Kirk Herbstreit, you can come and listen to us, and we'll try to make it entertaining and have some fun. So, yeah, I mean that's where we're at. Try to lighten the mood a little bit towards the end of the show by bringing up the stuff that we're excited for. So there will be 2 more Wisco Fanatics episodes this week during the draft, and we're going to talk through it because we spent the last 6 weeks talking about players. So now we're going to watch them get drafted, and undoubtedly, it's going to happen that a player that we liked goes to a team we don't like. It's going to happen.
I know.
It's got to mentally prepare.
I was literally thinking about that today. I was like, dude, if Keanu Benton ends up on the freaking Bears, I'm going to be so fucking pissed.
Appreciate it, Greg. We're excited to watch the draft, and we're excited to have Simon and Bryant with us during the draft because it was a lot of fun last year during the first round. So this year,
I just love Bryant's randomness, dude.
I hope somebody wears a giant black suit that has a big red stripe through the middle.
Hey, what up, Simon? How you doing, buddy?
Red stripe, hooray, beer! That was a great moment.
Yes, we have Taylor. That guy's pretty famous.
Yes, Taylor, we've heard of Tom Grassi. He's got a big announcement coming tomorrow. I'm not sure what it is, but it'll be cool for him.
Tomorrow.
He's got a much bigger following than we do, but hopefully a following and a platform that we hope to have someday.
Yeah, we're going at a different angle than him, so maybe one day we can collab with him. That could be a goal of ours.
That'd be fun
eventually.
All right, you got anything else?
Let's go Bucks, baby.
All right, for sure. We will be back tomorrow either way. So everybody that watched us today, you can watch us tomorrow and Friday too. We will be back. Thank you guys for watching us today.